All right, well, excellent. Welcome, everyone. We'll go ahead and get started. My name is Donna Bachowski, and I am one of the educators here with Bywater Solutions. I have the lovely Kelly with me today also. We are pretty much opposite as far as weathers. Kelly is up in northern Maine, and I'm down in central Florida, so a little bit difference. But we are going to be talking today about the 1905 upgrades, patrons, and circulation. I hope you all are very excited. Lots of good stuff here. I do want to point out that we have our webinar schedule available for y'all. We're getting towards the end of our webinars. So we basically have just this one today, 2 more tomorrow, and then one last one on Thursday, and we will all be done with the webinar upgrades. Now, if you happen to miss some of those, don't worry. We do have those links to the recorded webinars for each of those available for you. And I know actually that the ones that Kelly is doing tomorrow are going to be the most exciting ones, because that's our preview or premiering of our technical services webinars. Very exciting.
I don't know if you would call technical services the thrilling ones, but to each its own, Donna, to each its own.
I know how passionate catalogers are about what they do, and so I know they're always happy to see those technical services webinars. So, and I always learn a lot from them. So we're looking forward to that one. And then tomorrow, Thursday, no, tomorrow we do have our second administration one. We did that one this morning. We'll do it again tomorrow afternoon. And then Kelly's technical services ones are tomorrow and then Thursday, and that'll be all of them. But again, they are all available for you to view once we've uploaded those recordings, so you can view them at any point. Don't worry about that. Okay. And then also the other site that I want you all to be aware of is the upgrade notes page. And this is where we're going to go ahead and have all of our release notes, the links to the manual and the schema. Kelly has put together all of the blog posts and videos that we have done on 1905, so some exciting things to watch there. Again, links to all of our webinars that we've recorded. And then this is where we're also going to be putting the Q&As that y'all have for us. So any questions that come up during the webinars, we go ahead and make note of, and we add this information here. So even if you weren't at that webinar, you still will get the benefit of seeing all of that information that is there. So, and those of y'all that saw what George posted earlier in the channel about the jQuery, that's in response to one of the things that we were looking at, and so that will be posted there too, so those sorts of things. Okay, so without further ado,
Donna,
let's go.
I don't know, somebody has raised their hand, so can you just send out a reminder to just put anything, questions you have in the chat?
Absolutely. So yeah, I do see that there is somebody who has raised their hand. You will need to go ahead and post any comments into the chat. Again, you would want to go ahead and make sure that it says all panelists and attendees when you're typing your message, so everyone can see that. Or you can go ahead and put your comments in the Q&A box. Either one of those will work. And that way we can go ahead and hear from you and answer any questions that you might have. Okay. So one of the first questions we do get asked is, when am I getting upgraded? So we are changing how we do some of our upgrades. We are going to be upgrading everyone over the course of 1 week. So very exciting. We'll be starting our upgrades the week of December 8th. We will put the traditional box with the red square around it into your staff client with at least a week prior. And then that always has that reminder that says, hey, don't forget to clear your cache the following morning. So very exciting things for all of those. I just realized I have left my bookmarks on. Let me see if I can hide those real quick. Just to clear up a little bit more space. There we go. Okay. So week of December 8th, very exciting. All you have to do is clear your cache. So it's always kind of funny that the first thing that we're going to start out with today is something that I can't really even show you. So just being aware that some of the things that do happen within Koha are behind the scenes. George, I do see that you asked for a specific date. That is going to be separate from y'all. That's our general one is the week of December 8th. We are handling specific requests independently. So, and again, if that goes for anybody out there, if you have a special request as far as a date that you need to have your upgrade done on, make sure you let us know, and we can go ahead and make sure that we get that scheduled. So, okay. So, first feature the ability to add specific item types for the long overdue cron. So this is something that is kind of interesting. Right now we do have the long overdue cron. You can either have it set up to run through your system preferences, or you can have it set up independently through the cron jobs. What you can do now is that instead of saying that all item types are affected by the same standards for our long overdue lost cron, we can go ahead and pull those item types out individually. So that's really an exciting thing, that we can exclude certain item types or have different parameters for specific item types. So for instance, perhaps right now your crons are set up to run at 42 days to mark everything long overdue lost. Well, maybe I don't want my DVDs waiting for 42 days. Maybe I want those to be done after 14 days. You can now do that. So very exciting. Just send us a ticket and say, hey, this is what we want to be able to set up, and we'll be happy to do that for y'all. So that's a nice feature. So now we can do it not just by item type, but also by branch and by patron category. So you've got a lot of flexibility in there now as far as how you can go ahead and set up those long overdue crons to have them a little more customized. Okay, the first thing that I can show you is sponsored by the Huntsville-Madison County Public Library, and this is the ability to have rental fees based on time periods. So in the past, you could do a one-shot rental charge for the entire length of the circulation. But now you have the ability that you can go ahead and do daily rental charges, or you can do hourly rental charges. So it just gives you a little bit more flexibility as far as how you want to be able to go ahead and set up those rental fees, charges, and things like that. And this also comes in handy too, that if I changed my circ rules so that games, instead of circulating for 4 hours, now go for 5 hours, I would have to come in here and change my rental charge. With this hourly one now, I can adjust my rental charges as I want, and it's going to go ahead and just run off my circ and fine rules. So that's going to be a nice little feature for that one too. It is set up in your items type administration. It can be set either, again, as daily or hourly. You do not want to have both in here. If you have both a daily rental charge and an hourly rental charge, it's not going to work well. And it does need to match what your circulation rule is. So if I check out DVDs on an hourly basis and have a daily rental charge, that's not going to work. That does need to be consistent between your circ rule and your rental charge. Okay, you are charged the full amount upon checkout, and that is not refunded when you return that early. So just kind of be aware of that also. Okay, so for instance, if I come to one of my patrons and check out okay, so if I have a DVD that I am checking out to Anne Shirley, okay, you can see right now that they have a rental, they have a fee now of $3. When I look at that, you will see that that is for that item, and that is for the rental fee for that one, due back in 3 days. Okay, so that is put in there automatically. It does charge right on the spot, so be aware of that one. Okay. Okay, the next one. For those of you that use return to shelving cart or in processing to shelving cart, pay attention because this affects y'all. This is a new system preference called update item location on check-in. And this has been sponsored by several libraries. So Arcadia Public Library, Middleton Township Public Library, and Round Rock Public Library have all contributed to this one. So it's a little scary when you first look at it. So we have the update item location on check-in. It gives you all of the specifications that you need for this one. What this does is it accepts a list of value pairs. So on check-in, the item's location is compared to the location on the left, and then is updated to the one that's on the right. So again, this does replace the two system preferences of return to shelving cart and in processing to shelving cart. It does not affect anything else with either of those processes. Those system preferences, if you have them enabled, will automatically be populated in here. You don't have to do anything, okay? Now, if you are not using those two system preferences, then you have the ability to go ahead and do some other things with this one. The original idea behind this enhancement was, for instance, for libraries that do displays. If I have all of these items marked as display, when they get returned, I want them to be put back into the fiction section and not in the display section. And so that's what this could do, is that I could go ahead and set something, a rule, something like, if it's the shelving location of display, when it gets returned, I want it to go back to the fiction section. Now, be aware that it will be an all or nothing sort of thing. So anything that had a display status will be returned to that fiction section. So it's not entirely flexible. You just kind of need to be aware of that sort of thing, okay? Your other options too would be, for instance, if you want to clear something out. So if perhaps if I don't use shelving locations on a regular basis, and I am just using them for this particular display, I could say, with that functionality, display : blank, remove that shelving location and do not put another shelving location in there. So you've got some flexibilities with these. One of the ones I do want y'all to be aware of, though, that is a little terrifying, is this all one. Now, we are used in Koha to having it go ahead and look through the rules and then apply the one that it finds as it goes through. This is not one of those. If I have this rule in place, Koha will automatically come to the all rule first and move everything that is checked in to the fiction shelving location. So be aware of that, okay? What I would say is that if this is something you are not currently using and you do want to take a look at it, it might be worth it to open a ticket for us, and we can kind of talk to you about it and work it through the process to make sure that you're aware of all those sorts of things. Because we really don't want every item to be sent to your fiction collection or something like that, okay? So again, 2 ways to use it. One is if you're using that in processing to cart and the cart to shelf, you're going to use it. Everyone else that's not using those can use this way. And yes, Catherine, you can set it temporarily. You can come in here and take it out and put it in as you want to be able to do those sorts of things. Absolutely.
Just remember to remove it after you want it to be gone.
Yes. Okay. So this next one, we've had a couple of spirited discussions. If y'all know the educators at all, you know that we have vastly different personalities and perspectives on different things. So you can imagine that we get some different discussions going. This next function was sponsored by Round Rock Public Library, and it allows currently checked out items to be checked out to another patron without having to click on the box and do anything. First response from some of us was, oh my God, that's terrifying. And then as we think it through, some of us are like, okay, I can see this. So there's some mixed feelings about this one, just something for you all to be aware of. The really good news is that this is a system preference. So you can turn this on or off as you want. The system preference is called auto return checked out items. And this is one of those that you have to think through the process to make sure you have it set correctly. It will be set to maintain your current behavior. So right now, every library does have to check that little yellow box. It says, yes, return this item, check it out to this patron. And that's what the default is going to be set to, which is don't require librarians to confirm the checkout. If you want to enable this, no, and I said that backwards. It will by default be set to do require librarians to manually confirm a checkout. For our examples, we're going to go ahead and set it to don't, so you can see how this behaves if you turn this one on. Again, it gets really confusing as you try to explain some of these. So the best way to do it is by example. So for instance, if I go ahead and pull up my patron here, and I'm going to check out some items to him. Okay, instead of getting that pop-up box where I actually have to take action, I just get this little yellow box that tells me the item was checked out to someone else and was returned automatically. So I don't have to click on anything. It goes ahead and takes me through that normal process. I can just keep scanning those items if they've not been checked in and they're going out to that patron. So just be aware of that functionality. If that's something that's helpful for you, it is now there. We do get the typical questions about what about if it is on hold or what if it's lost. The hold functionality does not change. If you're trying to check out something that has a hold on it, you will see that it was checked out to this person and you still get that hold slip. So you do need to go ahead and verify that you either want to check it out to this patron or don't check it out to them, place the holds, whatever that case may be. So that hasn't changed. It has automatically checked it in from Andrew, but it doesn't check it out to Bob until I go ahead and say, yes, we are going to go ahead and do this. Now, the third functionality that's a little bit different is with the lost item. So if I'm checking out something that's been marked as lost, all I get is that little blue box that says this item has been lost and has a status of lost. Notice that there's no link to who had it on any of those. There's no information about whether or not it's been refunded and things like that. So just kind of be aware of those. Is that this may be a change in behavior. So think about your processes and what your staff need to be able to do if you do want to turn that one on. Okay. So again, that is the system preference auto return checked out items. Okay. Another new system preference, what did we figure, Kelly, that there was 30 new system preferences?
I think there was 32.
32, but we lost 2, so it's a net gain of 30 system preferences, right?
Yeah, but I still count it as we gained 32. No one remembers the forgotten ones.
So yeah, so an additional 30 odd, we'll say, system preferences in the system. So just kind of know that there's going to be a lot of those going on. So this next one is called Auto Renewal on Hold Override System Preference. And this basically is going to let you renew items that are already on hold. So you do have to have the staff permissions to be able to do this. If I click on the Renew tab and go ahead and scan in this item that a patron wants to renew, it will tell me that this item is on hold for another patron. And so now I have a couple of options. I can either override and renew that, I can continue without renewing, and I can also specify a due date. So perhaps I don't want them to have it for the full 2-week circulation period. I'm just going to give them another 2 days for it. I can go ahead and specify a date in there and say, okay, you can only have it until Friday. And then I can go ahead and override or renew that item. So you've got some options there for that one. So that's a nice functionality that you can give people a little bit extra time. The other place that you would see it is actually in the patron record. So if I look at their checkouts, okay, I will see that this item is on hold, so I'm not able to renew it. What I'm going to do is come down here and click on Override Renewal Restrictions. And you'll notice that when I do that, I now get a checkbox here. I can go ahead and select that checkbox, and then I get a secondary due date box here. So we have our normal one for renewal due date, and then we have a secondary box here that is on hold due date specifically for that item. So I can set it just for that particular item that is on hold, and I can go ahead and renew those. Okay. Something else that's kind of fun it's one of those little things that I really like. If you notice, last upgrade, we had that little red X added that would go ahead and clear that patron off of the screen so you can maintain the privacy, and that was the Display Clear Screen button system preference. There's now been an enhancement to that one, and this is the print icon. What this is going to do is this is going to let you print a slip, not a quick slip, but a slip, and clear their account in one click. So instead of having to do a couple of keystrokes, I can do one. It's going to go ahead and print my slip out and clear that patron. Now, it is important to remember it is not the quick slip, it is the slip. So what you can do, and this really confused Kelly the first time we talked about this, what you can do is you can change your notices so that your print slip contains what used to be on your quick slip, and your quick slip contains what used to be on your print slip. That way you can use this button and still print out the contents of your quick slip.
Let's break it down, Donna. Maybe people don't know there are 2 slips. And what the difference is, quick slip is really the only things that are checked out that day.
Right.
The slip will show them everything they have currently checked out in Koha. Who doesn't love a good slip?
I know.
Quick slips are too quick. But
if you're a power user, you probably don't want a list of 48 items every single time you check something out.
Power users, we love those power users.
So yeah, so if you have any questions about setting up your notices or your slips, I should say, let us know. We're more than happy to walk through the process with you. But it's a nice little functionality that you've now with one click, I can go ahead and print my slip out and clear the screen. And that way I don't have to worry about wandering away and leaving that patron's information up for anybody else to see. Okay. Okay. So for those of y'all that have multiple locations, we know that there are gremlins, and the gremlins make things disappear in transit from one location to another. So there's a nice little enhancement here, which is outstanding transfers are canceled when an item is marked as lost. So right now, this item is in transit from the East Branch to the West Branch. It has been in transit for 3 weeks now, hopelessly gone, I'm sure. And what we want to do is we want to go ahead and get this off of the transfer list and mark this one as lost. So you can see right now, current location is West Branch, home library is West Branch, in transit from East Branch to West Branch. I'm going to go ahead and set this as lost. They say the gremlins took it. Kelly's like, you've been messing around with the lost values, haven't you, Donna? Okay. Okay, obviously something went wrong because it is showing as available, but you can see now that it has marked that current location as East Branch and your home library is West Branch. So what it's going to go ahead and do is it's going to have your, the owning library is going to stay at your home library. The current location is going to be the last location that it was physically seen at. Okay.
But Donna, is the real question, are you a Miss Marple fan or are you a Hercule Poirot fan? I mean, really, come on.
How do you choose?
I choose very well. I like Miss Marple better.
I think I probably do too. Okay, for a number of you, we have told you book drop mode is evil. And when you go to your check-in screen, a lot of y'all probably don't even see the book drop mode because we have hidden that for a lot of folks. Book drop mode does really bad things if you have grace periods, if you take payments on accruing fines, all of those sorts of things. And so Nick, our wonderful kid clamp, lectured us starting day one when I was hired almost 2 years ago, book drop mode is evil. Book drop mode is no longer evil. Yay! What you can do now is you can go ahead and use book drop mode, and it will go ahead and charge patrons appropriately, and you don't have to worry about anything with those. It does use the calendar function, so you need to make sure your calendar function is enabled on your system, that you've got your closed days and things like that in there, which I'm sure everybody does. And then you will just go ahead and use book drop mode. And basically what it does is it goes ahead and says your check-in date is 11/11. It looks and sees when was the last time that you were open. And that's when it goes ahead and charges. So just kind of be aware of that one. If you do want your book drop mode back and you don't see it, let us know. We can go ahead and do that for you. You, of course, do still have the ability that you can go ahead and choose your date picker and set that the way that you want with that also. Okay. Next up, does everyone know about configure columns? This is something that's becoming more and more prevalent. I love configure columns. It's yet one more way that you can go ahead and make things modify or make things the way that you want to be able to see them for your system. You will see that there's a whole bunch more sections in here. So this one is under circulation. And the table is called table_borrowers. Okay, and this refers to when you are doing searches in checkout, which I'll show you in just a second. So just be aware that they have added phone. It is going to be selected by default. So if you want to be able to see phone when you're doing your searches, this is where you would go ahead and come in here and change that. Okay, but what this is going to do is when I'm in this checkout box here and I go ahead and search for a patron, it now goes ahead and displays the phone number here also. So it's, again, just another way that you can go ahead and verify you are working with the correct patron, things like that. You'll have your primary phone number displayed in this box here. So again, just one more way that we can customize what we see. Some libraries, I know they just, if I don't have my ID with me, they just ask for 3 points of information. You now have another point of information that's quickly visible that I can verify that information against. Okay. Let's go ahead and look at Miss Lucy's account. So there is a new functionality that came out in 1811 that is the GDPR. And Kelly, what does GDPR stand for?
I still don't remember. General Data Protection Regulation, maybe?
Gold star. So the GDPR is a European privacy standard that has started, that came out in 1811. There's been more enhancements that we've been talking about in 1905. One of the challenges for both this and with other ways is when the patron accounts are locked. So this applies to a couple of different things. I think most of our partners will see this if you have enabled the maximum number of password attempts or login attempts in system preferences. So there is a system preference, if you didn't know, that will lock a patron out of their account once they've tried to log in a certain number of times and haven't been successful. In the past, staff couldn't really see that an account was locked. This now enables that. You will see that on that patron record, it's on the details section, account has been locked, okay? It does not block staff from doing anything else with that patron account, okay? Patrons can still check out with no challenges, no issues at all. It just shows if a patron comes to you and says, I can't log into my account, you would go to their details tab, since that's where you're thinking you're probably gonna be changing the password, and right there, you'll be able to identify that, yep, that account has been locked. Now, Kelly, for another gold star, how do I unlock the patron account?
Donna, you would need to change that password.
Woohoo! So if I go ahead and change the password, it will unlock that account, okay? So just be aware of that. There are a couple of things with this, is that obviously it only shows under my details screen for the patron or for the staff. I have yet to be able to identify anywhere on the patron side where it tells me my account has been locked. So that is a challenge also. Just kind of be aware of that. Okay. No, what? You're shaking your head.
You're getting locked out, so you can't get back in, so you can't be alerted through the OPAC.
Yeah, it's a catch-22. Yeah.
Right there. We're all in there. Yep.
Yeah.
You can't find out when you can't log in.
Yeah, there's no message that says your account has been locked, nothing like that. So that is one of those things to be aware of, is that it can be a bit of a challenge, is that the patrons don't know that they've been locked out. There's no way to tell them. So it's kind of a weird, yeah. Okay. Still talking about patrons. So when I am creating a new patron now, I know everyone's a huge fan of the cities and towns functionality. You now have the ability to not only use it here in our main address, but also in our alternate address and in our alternate contact. So anywhere that I have that city, state, zip code functionality available to me, I can go ahead and use that same drop-down list of addresses. So that's gonna be really helpful now, hopefully, that you'll be able to go ahead and use all of those city towns in all 3 of those sections, not just the main address. So that's kind of cool. Another thing on here, some of y'all are not gonna be very impressed by this because you probably already see this on your site. We have added this via jQuery for a number of libraries that says your SMS number should be this format. This is now in here by default. So it automatically says in here that the SMS format should be this or this, and it says it both on the staff side and on the OPAC side. So that's really a great thing too, is that we don't have to worry about our patrons putting in their SMS numbers in the wrong format. It's automatically there. So that was, again, one of those little things, but it's going to be really helpful for not being able to do that. Okay. So this next one gets a little bit confusing. If you are a multiple location, listen up. If you are a single location, you can zone out for a couple of minutes. So what this does is, well, actually, I should take that. No, yeah, single locations, you're fine because it's not going to matter. The bug is 20837. Can item be reserved should follow reserves control branch, not circ control. I'll let y'all think about that for a minute. Basically what this does is this patch corrects the behavior of the reserve or your holds rules so that they match which actually has been selected in system preferences. This may initially lead to some confusion because before now, the circ control branches were applied incorrectly, and so the settings were a little bit weird, okay? There's a lot to unpack with this one. We do have an excellent blog post by the amazing Andrew to walk you through all of these sorts of things. I'm gonna go ahead and put this into chat, okay? And so there's a really great blog post on this that will go ahead and walk you through the process of whether or not you need to be aware of it. As always, please let us know what questions you have if you're not sure about what it's going to do to you. But he's got it set out really well of, do you do this, do you do this, and do you do this, and whether or not you need to be concerned about it, okay? There's another one that goes along with it, which is transfer limits should be respected for placing holds, and this is bug 22330. So basically what this does is it enforces your branch transfer limits. So if I have an item that is at library A and can only be used at library, it cannot be transferred to library B, and library B places a hold on it, overriding all the warning boxes and still places a hold on it, that hold will never show up on library A's holds queue. Okay, so that's a really good thing because then you're not dealing with holds that you're not supposed to be sending out anyways. So it is going to reflect those holds will never show. So you need to be aware of that and make sure that all of your staff are only placing holds on things that they're supposed to be able to place holds on, because otherwise those holds are never going to go anywhere. Okay, so it's now going to be respecting and enforcing the branch transfer limits. Okay. This actually showed up in, this next feature actually showed up in 1811, but you may not have been aware of it. If you are using collection codes, when you are placing holds, item level holds, and Kelly's just dying to tell me that I'm doing it wrong, I can tell. Need to be in the OPAC for this, not the staff client. Okay, when you are placing holds on here, and I am placing, who blocked my account?
Oh no. Do you want me to pay your fines for you, Donna? Do you need a loan?
No, I think I'm good, thanks.
Can Venmo me the money. Okay.
Okay. All right. Let me see who does not have a.
Let me pay some fines off for you.
Okay, Amelia only $1.50. She should be good.
Okay.
There we go. So now when I place a hold and I am placing an item level hold, it shows me the collection codes for those particular items that I can place holds on. So the first thought, you're like, yeah, that's not really a big deal. But as you're looking at this, you're thinking, oh, wait, I don't really want something that might be in the new collection. I want something that's in the fiction collection. Or maybe I don't want something that's in the Florida collection. I want something that's in the general nonfiction collection, things like that. So that collection code is actually going to be another little element. If you are using this, it's going to help your patrons figure out what particularly they're looking for. So a neat little enhancement, but it's kind of a cool one. Okay. Now, when I am in the holds tab on the staff client, again, a little functionality that I love, this details now will take you to the actual item as opposed to taking you to the bib record, which we're already at the bib record. Why are you taking me back to the same spot? This will now actually take you to that particular item here. So I can do any sort of maintenance I might need to on that particular item that someone has placed a hold on. So again, that's just a neat little function that the details is going to take you to a specific barcode if it has been trapped with a specific barcode. Okay.
You've got an awesome on that one, Donna.
I know. It's the little things that make us happy. They really do. So I'm just curious, before I go ahead and do this next one, give us a yes or me or thumbs up or something. If your library uses the system preference, check previous checkout.
I think you asked the question before you said no. I like the idea of this.
I like the idea of it. However, from a patron perspective or a staff perspective, when I'm working the front desk, it's going to get really old really quick. It depends, though, too, on who your clientele is, what they check out sometimes, those sorts of things. So for those of you that maybe are not familiar with it, there's a system preference called check previous checkout. If you turn that on and a patron checks out an item that they've had before, it will give staff a warning message saying patron has checked this out before. So in some libraries it can be really helpful, in some libraries it can be really annoying. I know one of the libraries that I used to work at, we had a lot of patrons who would check out the same DVDs over and over again. And I can only imagine how torturous that would have been. Every single time I'm checking out DVDs to them, I'm having to click that button and override it. But if you do use that one, this next enhancement will show you if a patron is placing a hold on an item that they've previously checked out. Okay, so for most of you, again, you can kind of zone out for a couple minutes. So if I'm looking at this item, my patron wants to place a hold on It's the Great Pumpkin DVD, I can go ahead and click on my place hold button. I pull up my patron's record, and it tells me the patron has previously checked out the title. Okay, so that is something that's kind of helpful if you're not, so that the patron knows, oh, nope, you actually did have that item already. So the caveat is if you are anonymizing reading history, this is not going to work because it's not going to have any record that the patron has had this item checked out before. So just kind of be aware of that. Okay, I do want to show you the system preferences for this one because it does give you some flexibility in here. So that preference, if it is one that you are interested in, which is check previous checkout, you have do not, do, or overridden by patron category. So again, that might be something that you could look at doing for patron category. I immediately went to the thought of, for those libraries that do homebound, this would be really helpful, that you're not going to bring them the same books over and over again because you can see that they went ahead and had that. So just be aware of that one. It could be helpful, but again, if you're anonymizing patron history or reading history, just skip that because it's not going to work. Okay. And I'm wondering how many people saw this when I pulled this up first. This is one that is absolutely fantastic. I absolutely love it. Is that when I am looking at a record and those items are on hold, it no longer says available to my patrons. In the OPAC, it shows me that those items are on hold. I don't have to answer the 8 millionth question of, well, it says it's available. Yeah, but it's on hold. So this is really exciting. It now says on hold both in the status level and at the search list, excuse me, the results list. It does go ahead and show big display. Trying the right words. Big finish. It now shows on hold. So again, really nice functionality here. And I agree with George. This has been a long time coming. This should have been one of those first things that was done because it's such a big deal for libraries. So it now says on hold instead of available. So yay. Okay, hopping back to our patrons. I know I'm flip-flopping all over the place. Oops. I'm also not spelling things right. Okay, when I am looking at my patron's holds, it is now very, very obvious that she has suspended that hold. So again, some nice clear verbiage that says that one has been suspended. So it just goes ahead and shows you very clearly that status column that has been suspended. Okay. Holds awaiting pickup. I know this is something y'all go to probably constantly. It now includes more information. It has added the patron's barcode in here. So again, just a little bit more information that's going to be showing up for all of those patrons as you're looking at those. This is something else that was added, is it also includes the shelving location. I'm still puzzling that one out because if it's actually on the hold shelf, why would we have the shelving location? Why do we need the shelving location? Obviously somebody had a use case for it and it was strong enough that the developers went ahead and wrote that and showed that in there. I'm still puzzling over why I would want that shelving location to show. Maybe helps in identifying the item that I'm looking for if I have a lot of holds. I don't know. But that is another new functionality that came out in 1911.
Probably, Donna, probably.
Does the holds waiting table have a corresponding column configuration? I don't think so, but I always want to double check because I don't ever want to give George wrong information. But I'm pretty sure it does not. So we have our checked in table, we have our holds to pull table, we have our holds queue, holds ratios, issues table, and table borrowers now. But you know, fingers crossed, there's space for another one, so maybe that'll be the next one that they add in. Okay, let's go ahead and bring up one of our patrons, Miss Lima Bean. So again, this is a little one that I absolutely, yes, I know. This is one that I absolutely love. You'll notice it no longer says accounting. It no longer says fines. It now says accounting. That was something that was really confusing to folks. So it now says accounting. And when I click on accounting, instead of saying pay fines, it now says make a payment. Instead of account, it now says transactions. It still contains all the same information, okay, but now it's just been clearer as far as what is there and what is contained in all of those. Okay. You will notice that on the tabs here, we are getting more information. Okay. You'll see things such as the barcode, the due date, the return date, all of that sort of thing. So we are getting more information here. Okay. And that shows both on the transactions and on the make a payment section. So some really, again, very helpful, quick information that's available to y'all. You don't have to click on other button screens to go to other buttons and see those sorts of things. When an item has been marked lost, it will now show the call number in here. So for instance, this item is a lost item, and you'll see it went ahead and populated the call number in there, as opposed to this item, which is a fine, there is no call number showing. So again, this could be something that's really helpful, that if a patron is disputing that item has been lost, you on this screen, without having to go anywhere else, can see that call number and could do a quick shelf check for something like that. So that is a nice little enhancement too, to add that call number for those lost things. Okay, now this next enhancement, this is actually the jQuery that George had posted earlier. There's a new functionality in here. For those of y'all that don't have a cash register or anything like that, Koha has added this functionality of change to give, okay? So for instance, we have this patron that owes $46.15. They only want to pay $18.15, and they're handing me a $20 bill. You'll see that as I'm typing in those numbers, that change is updating as I go. So it will go ahead and tell your staff immediately, oh, okay, you need to go ahead and give them $1.85 change, okay? I'm gonna go ahead and say that she paid us in glitter and confirm that payment. And then you do get this pop-up that says the amount collected is higher than the amount to be paid. You need to give them $1.85. Are you confirming this payment? So again, just a couple of more steps to make sure that your staff are giving the correct change and things like that. Again, there is the jQuery if you don't want to have to use that, but it is something to be aware of that will help your staff as far as being able to determine change and things like that. So, ooh, Nancy likes that one. Yay, Nancy. So the next thing is that the invoice and the fee receipts have been moved from templates to slips. That doesn't sound that exciting until you actually realize what this does. So if I go ahead and right here on this one that I just paid, click on print because I want to print out a receipt for this patron that just paid me, we have this default printer, this default fee receipt, and I have not been able to change anything that's on here, okay? However, now this has been moved to a slip. So I can go into my tools, go into my notices and slips, and there is now 2 notices. They are under account. So we have our account credit, which is our fee receipt, and our account debit, which is our invoice receipt. So I can now come into fee receipt, click on the print functionality, and go ahead and modify what information I want on that payment receipt. So that's a nice addition. We are trying to get more, and not all of our slips moved over to the templates so that we can, or moved over to the slips section so we can go ahead and control what is printed on those. So again, you now have control over what is printed out when you print out those fee receipts or those manual invoices that you've charged to a patron. Okay. The thing that goes along with that too is that in your current version, when you pay something, okay, when you made a payment, it would automatically come up and say payment thanks, and then whatever that payment type was. You had no control over that. Okay, so now when we go ahead and look at our patrons' payments, okay, you can now see, again, that you have the ability to go ahead and customize those notes. So it'll still show as a payment, but it'll also show whatever you decide to go ahead and put in there. So if I said that this is, you know, thanks for the cookies, whatever the case may be, you can go ahead and have that information in those descriptions. It doesn't just say thanks. So you do have that ability to go ahead and customize those sorts of things in there. So that's kind of exciting. And that is in the payment type note. There we go. Okay, I'm going to come in here to my accounting tab. I am going to go ahead and pay. I'm going to go ahead and say that that was paid for in glitter. When I go ahead and look at his account again, you can see that description. And again, that is done through your system preferences, authorized values, your setups for all of those. So you have a lot more flexibility in here too. So kind of exciting with all of those sorts of things. Okay. And I completely agree with George, is those receipts and invoices being moved over are a long time coming, and we really do need to have everything in there, because that is just huge that we don't have that flexibility. Koha is all about flexibility, so we want to make sure that we have that. Okay, so this last section, whoops, if I'm going to go ahead and check in, this is for course reserves. And I know a lot of libraries don't necessarily use course reserve, but with that function, and I know some libraries are doing that. This is going to be really helpful. Instead of the item showing as being on the cart, it's actually going to go ahead and show where it belongs. So I've checked that item in. When I look at this record, it will go ahead. If I had cart turned on, it would go ahead and show that it would be at the cart. But when I look at the course reserves information, it shows its proper location. So again, if you are using cart, which we don't have turned on in our training system, if you are using cart, it would show you cart, but when you look at it in the course reserves, it actually shows you where it really is. So again, a nice little update there that's going to show you where those items actually are. Okay. And just one last FYI, you all know that Koha is developing an ILL module. It has been in process over the last couple of releases. There have been a number of additions to the ILL module. The ILL module right now is really only working between Koha libraries. So there's not a lot of libraries that are using this. I know we do have some libraries in the Northeast who are working on, trying some of those different things out. So just kind of be aware of it, that there's been a whole bunch of additions to the ILL module that is getting more and more robust with each release. So, phew, that is all of our circulation and patron stuff that we felt was the most important part from the 1905 upgrades. So please let me know what questions you have. We have a couple of minutes left before we need to head out of here. If you have any questions about anything we covered, let us know. Obviously, there's a lot more that are in here than just those things that we covered. We have our what's new, which kind of just touch on the highlights. We have the individual ones. And as always, if you have any questions, let us know. If you want to be able to try these things out now instead of waiting until December, remember that our demo site, which is accessible through our Bywater website, is on 1905. And so you can get in there right now and take a look at some of these things. Again, that's our demo site off of our Bywater website. Can a patron rate a book using stars? Yes, if you have that turned on, your patrons can go ahead and rate their books with the stars. It's a system preference, just like the other 600 and something system preferences.
Yeah, we actually show that one in the OPAC, or we did, because if you do allow star ratings, you can actually see your star ratings if you can see your reading history on the OPAC. So that's pretty cool as well. If you don't see your reading history, you can't see your stars.
So tomorrow in the morning, we have Kelly doing our first technical services webinar. In the afternoon, I'll be doing our second administration and reports webinar, some exciting things in there. And then on Thursday, Kelly will be doing the last technical services webinar. So yeah, Tanya, I agree. There's so many exciting things in here. And just with every release we get, there's more and more stuff. And it's actually a conversation that the educators have on a regular basis of, we've got partners that have been with us for so long, they may have missed some of these upgrades that happened 3 or 4 releases ago and don't know of all these amazing features. And how do we keep everybody up with all of these hundreds and hundreds? I mean, this last release had 246 enhancements? It's just crazy, all of the great things that are happening.
Yeah, I've been using Koha for 7 years, and I'm just in awe of how far it's come. But for example, we were just doing one of the webinars last week, and somebody noticed something on the screen that was released at least 1 release ago and didn't know about it, but they saw it and now they can use it. So the more people come, like our repeated viewers, or watch this again if you want, if you think you missed something, with some popcorn, you might see some more things.
And that's what we always say too, is that if you ever want to try something or have an idea, ask us, because there may be that functionality in Koha that you just don't know about that's going to do exactly what you're looking for. I had the pleasure of introducing item search to a partner who'd been on Koha for quite a while and didn't know about it. And it just was like night and day for them. It made their job so much easier. So definitely ask us if you have any questions, if you want to try new projects, if you have one of those what if moments, ask us, because it might already be in there. And if not, it's probably going to be a great enhancement that we can file a bug for. Okay, I don't see any other questions coming in. Kelly, thank you so much for your amazing assistance today.
Thank you, Donna. Thank you for challenging me in those questions.
Again, you get a gold star. Everybody gets a gold star. Y'all go enjoy the rest of your day, and hopefully we'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.